Hello. My name is Renz. What's your name?
My name is Sam.
Hello, Sam. Why don't we start by having you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm a student here at Southern Methodist University, sophomore. I'm a nursing major. Just applied a couple of weeks ago, and I'm 19.
19? Okay. How do you like the school that you're attending?
It's pretty good. There's a lot of events here that we can go to and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Events. What are some of the events you've liked the most so far?
Probably like Asian night or LAC night or
Okay.
something like that.
So, Asian night. What does LAC stand for? I'm sorry.
Latin American Club.
Oh, okay. So you have like cultural events at this school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's really cool. You have any hobbies that you're interested in at all?
Not that much. Maybe just like singing or
Singing. Okay.
just going out and like walking or enjoying nature and stuff. Hiking.
Do you play sports at all, like outside, anything like that?
Sometimes I would run occasionally or like play volleyball or badminton.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I'll start by clarifying a little bit about how I work. I'll be your social worker for this session. The things that we'll be doing is this will be maybe an approximately 30 to 45-minute session where I'll sort of be getting to know you and any of the issues that you came in today to talk about. And then near the end of the interview, we'll go through a few other processes that have to do with sort of evaluating and things like that. And I do have to mention our confidentiality statement, which is anything that is spoken between the two of us here today will remain here. I will not report it or spread it with anyone else until you give me permission to do so. And there are exceptions to that rule, which include if I feel like you will bring harm to someone else or to yourself, and that harm extends to elderly people, children, and people with disabilities. Do you have any questions about that statement?
No.
Okay, well, let's begin then. So, what sort of brought you in today?
My parents kind of told me to come here.
Okay, why would they want you to come in today?
I guess they feel like I need help, which
Mhm.
doesn't really make sense. But they told me to come in because they thought that I needed it. In a sense where like I was having trouble in school.
Okay.
Um, I guess it's just I don't know. It's hard to go into though. So.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. But you did mention earlier that you enjoy the school you were attending?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty good.
So what are some of the issues that your parents believe that you're having at school?
They feel like I'm not taking school seriously enough, I guess.
Okay.
And they feel like I'm just like taking it for granted.
Take it for granted. Okay. What's your relationship like with your parents?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's, I guess it's not as great as I want it to be, but it's okay.
Okay. How are your parents? Would you say your parents are very supportive of you in the things you do at school?
Not all the time. They kind of want me to do a certain major, but I don't really feel that passionate about it.
Okay. What major would they like you to be in?
They want me to be a business major.
Okay. And I take it that you're not really interested in the business profession.
No, not really.
Okay. What about business turns you off so much?
Well, my dad's an accountant, so
Okay.
that whenever I see him working, it just doesn't really appeal to me.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is that you enjoy this school very much, but you also are sort of dealing with the burden of your parents sort of forcing this sort of profession on you that you don't really wish for, and it's sort of causing a little bit of turmoil within you and within them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell me a little more about some of the issues you have here at school? I know that we sort of spoke about it a little while ago, but can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Can you elaborate a little bit about the issues that you're sort of that you feel that your parents think you're facing, aside from what you said, like you're not taking it seriously?
Um, the issues that they see, I guess. I ditched a couple classes. Um, I've gone to probably 1 or 2 outings with friends in
Okay.
the past 2 weeks. I don't really see that much else besides
Okay.
that.
Sure, that's fine. You say you go out with your friends for outings. What are these outings like? You just go out, to see the town a little bit, or you go exploring at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Just hanging out,
Okay.
pretty much.
What are your friends kind of like? Are they supportive of you?
Yeah.
Okay. I sort of want to go back to your relationship with your parents, because you say that they are generally supportive of you for the most part, but sort of what is your home life like? What are they like?
My home life, such as.
Such as what are they like when you're living at home with them? Because you're currently in college.
Well, I don't really talk to my parents that much because they're always, out of it, or they're just not willing to communicate as much.
Okay.
So I just kind of live on my own, if that makes sense.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
No.
Okay. Well, what do you can you sort of clarify on what you mean by out of it?
They it's kind of a sensitive topic to talk about,
Okay.
so I don't really want to go deep into it, but they're not always in the right state of mind.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So now going back onto the topic of school, you're talking about how your parents feel like you're not taking school seriously. So do you agree with what they're saying?
To an extent, yeah, but I mean, I think that I should have also a social life as well
Of
as
course,
an
yeah.
academic life, because then it's just going to be a mess if I just disregard what I need and want.
Okay. Can you go through a typical day of school that you usually go through, like a, sort of a step by step progression of what a normal school day would look like to you?
So I wake up in the morning, usually at 7:10, to go to my 8 a.m. class, but then some days I don't feel like going, so I would just sleep in. And then after the 8 a.m. I would have a little break for an hour, and then my next class would be at 10. And then after that, I would probably go get some lunch and just relax for the rest of the day, because on Mondays I only have 2 classes.
Okay.
And then take a couple naps here and there, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. So your days seem to be, fairly average in the terms of, a student day in life. How long would you say you spend studying during the day or during the week?
Well, maybe in a day I'd probably study maybe 2 or 3 hours. So if I did that in a week.
2-3 hours? Okay. How many credits are you taking?
16.
16? If I'm not mistaken, that's on the heavier side of, okay. Now, sort of with this in mind, and then looking at the comment that you say your parents made of you not taking school seriously, would you say that, based on the schedule you have throughout your day, how would you say that statement holds up now that you sort of explained to me?
That I'm not taking school seriously?
Yes.
I think the only reason why they would think I'm not taking school seriously is just because, the reasons I explained to you, but nothing else after that. I'm sorry, I didn't really understand your question.
Okay, that's not a problem. So let me sort of backtrack a little bit and spend more time on school before we get to that portion. What would you say that a unproductive student looks like?
Mm, someone who skips all their classes. Um, let's see. Maybe goes out and just parties all the time, drinks, maybe smokes. Um, doesn't attend any events whatsoever and just chills in their dorm 24/7.
Okay. So it seems to me like your description of an unproductive student obviously does not match up exactly to what your parents would deem an unproductive student is. So from that perspective, I think that it's very clear that you believe that you're fairly productive throughout your day, and that you don't agree with what your parents say that you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about like your school life a little bit. How are your friends in terms of academics? How are they? Do you know how well they're doing at all?
Yeah, some of my friends are like doing pretty good. They have like 3.7s around there. One of my friends is on the lower side, maybe like not as good as the rest, but everyone seems to be doing decent.
Okay. Okay. Everybody seems to be doing decent. I remember you said a little while ago that you seem to live on your own a little bit because your parents don't seem to, I guess, seem to always be in the right state of mind, as you put it. So does that living on your own also extend into college, where you feel like you don't have the support of them throughout college?
I guess I don't really expect my parents to do that much for me since
Mhm.
I'm already kind of used to it. So living in college is nothing that different than at home because I kind of feel the same.
Oh, okay, that's good. Why would how is what about living at college would you say is the same for living at home for you? Like what does it have in common?
Well, I mean, in college you have to do all of your own clothes, you have to wash your own dishes, you have to do everything yourself. That's basically what I had to do at home, so that's pretty much it.
Okay. I know that you said before that your parents aren't always there for you, and a lot of the time you just sort of have to do things on your own. Does that extend to also cooking or like taking care of yourself? Have you ever felt like you've had to take care of them at some point?
Yeah. I would have to like sometimes go out of my way to help them in a way,
Okay.
which does involve cooking or um, probably doing things that they can't do themselves.
Okay. How old are your parents?
Right now they're around their 50s-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was your high school like? Because I know that you were able to attend this college. So how did you how different was your high school life compared to your college life?
High school, I wasn't really home a lot. I was always out with my friends. And we were just like, since it's just high school, it's not that important. We just went out a lot. And sometimes we would stay downtown till like midnight and stuff and just hang out.
So throughout high school, you'd say that you every once in a while you'd just stay out through maybe past midnight on school nights?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you sort of do that late at night with your friends?
Probably just chill in the car or go to like a local park or something like that and just chill there.
Okay.
Relax.
Sort of, how was your study habits in high school compared to college?
High school definitely was not as serious as I did now, even though like I'm still like kind of in the bad side as to studying habits, but it was definitely much more worse in high school.
Okay. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being exactly the same, how would you say your college experience has improved as opposed to your high school experience?
I would say probably 5. A 5.
Okay. So, just to summarize, in high school you felt like it was in some senses a little bit more difficult than in college, because in college you feel like you have a little bit more freedom and you can sort of be a little more independent than when you were a little more reliant on your parents back in high school.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Um, well, is it okay if I sort of transition into a strange question of sorts?
Such as.
It's just sort of a sort of like a it's like a scenario that I'm gonna try to pose to you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's say that tonight you go to sleep, and as you're sleeping, it's like one of the best, most refreshing sleeps you've had in a very long time. And as you're asleep, a miracle takes place, and the miracle that takes place is that the questions and the issues that you came in to sort of speak with me today have completely been solved. And you have no idea that this miracle has taken place because you've been asleep. So when you wake up, what are some of the first things that you'd notice that would sort of show you that this miracle has taken place?
I guess I could have a deep conversation with my parents.
Okay. And what would this deep conversation sort of look like?
Just like not technically a deep conversation, but just like a casual conversation where they're actually like listening to me.
Okay. Do your parents not seem to convey that they listen to you?
No.
Okay. How would you say a normal interaction with your parents would go?
Normal interaction, I guess they probably like try to initiate a conversation first, be like, how are you? And then you can just go from there. But that's
Okay.
never really the case, so.
So I'm hearing that they'd sort of start a conversation, but like anything that happens after that initial beginning is sort of up in the air about how it will end.
Yeah.
Okay. Has there ever been any harm that's taken place at home?
Not. Are you talking about on the physical side?
Yeah, sure. We can maybe.
Could you also remind me like what are the the topics which I would have to understand where like you would have to like confidentiality wise? I forgot about that.
Confidentiality wise, anything regardless of what is said today will remain between the two of us, unless I believe that you yourself will be harming somebody else, and or if you'll be harming, an elderly person, a child, or someone younger than you. But anything else aside from things that I believe you'd harm someone for would I'd have to tell. But aside from that, unless you give me permission, I will never share that information with anyone else.
Okay. As opposed to like harm, mostly mental, because like they don't pay attention and they don't seem to care. But at the same time, they want me to do what they want me to do. as
Mhm.
opposed to what I actually want to do. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay. No, it's I think it's the beginning of sort of helping me to understand, because it was your parents in the first place who sort of reached out to me to bring you to start this session. So, how would you say that? What's an example of how this mental harm is? What's one example of this taking place?
Sometimes they just call me like weird things that just caught me off guard, like dumb, stupid, or like basically not going to succeed in life, stuff like that.
Okay. Can you ever? How long has this been taking place? How long do you believe? Like, do you remember this being like the reality for you, where you feel like they don't really care?
I want to say since late summer school, beginning of freshman year of high school.
High school? Okay. So can you remember a time where this was not the case, where everything a little was more, was better?
The best time that I can remember is elementary or early middle school, where we still had my dad still had his job in California, and we had a big house, and we all were going on a family vacation somewhere. I don't even remember the place, but that seemed to be the time where everything was okay.
Okay. What did you feel during that time? Like, what were some of the emotions that you feel like you remember to the best of your ability?
Happy.
Happy?
I mean, I didn't feel judged or anything like that. I didn't feel rejection or hate.
Okay. What are some of the emotions that you feel now compared to before? Like, how have these emotions shifted over time?
At first, it started with anxiety, but that kind of moved over to something that I'm used to, so now I don't really know what to call it. But I guess depression.
Okay.
But not like to a major point. Just not really knowing what to do at this stage.
What are some of the reasons that you believe your parents started this shift into sort of this? Because you had said before that elementary school things seemed to be really good, and your father had a job and you had a big house in California, and then slowly things started to change to the level where they are now. So where do you think that point exactly began?
Well, like I said, like late middle school. So like around that time, it's just gonna be a big backstory, but like back before then, my dad was in the business field, and he had a nice job, working for like a business or something. But then he was making a lot of money, and we had a big house. However, something happened to the business, and everything seemed to went haywire. He lost his job. We started losing income. Mom wasn't making enough to keep the house bills being paid for, so we lost the house too. And we moved into a little apartment in Southern California. And I mean, I felt like it was okay for a bit, but obviously my parents were distraught.
Okay.
And they were probably like that for a while. And then they started to drink, and then they started doing all these drugs, because I guess my dad had given up, and my mom Um, she also, I honestly don't even know what happened with my mom, but like she just started doing that stuff too. So that's where it all kind of shifted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that it's very um, strong of you that you've been able to make it this far because, despite sort of the struggles that you may be facing in college, you're still here. So I think that shows that you have great strength, and it's also great that you have found a great group of friends who are also here to support you, and you can still have a good time with. So I think that shows that how strong and resilient you are to get through all of this. So I think it's really great on your part, and I just want you to know that it's completely justified for you to feel sort of this anger and anxiety throughout this because nobody should ever have to experience these kind of things. So none of this has any fault to do of your own. But sort of on the back to the topic of your parents, in the sense of this miracle situation that we had sort of gone over a little while ago, what would it look like on the term of your parents in this perfect scenario? How would they be different from the way they are now?
They wouldn't be constantly having these mood swings, and they would have a job, and I don't know, they'd probably smile at least once in a while, without being under the influence, and yeah, they probably would show me more care, I guess.
Okay. In this better scenario, what do you feel would be different about you if your parents were, in a better state? How would that change the way you sort of feel and interact with other people and your parents?
I feel like building up from middle school with all the support and love and care that I was potentially supposed to have, I feel like that would have carved me into a better, more lively and charismatic person than I am now.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't want to blame my parents for who I am because I'm ultimately the reason why I'm like this.
Okay. Is this the first time you've ever sort of, I know you've been dealing with this from a young age, but is this the first time you've ever sort of dealt with people or with someone who sort of has issues such as this?
No.
Okay. Are any of your friends sort of prone to experimenting or partaking in these kind of activities?
Yeah. Some of them, not all of them.
Okay. I'm gonna sort of transition into a little activity that we can do. It has to deal with sort of the relationships you have. It's called the Eco Map. So I'll be working with you to sort of create this diagram of all the relationships that you have in your life and see which ones take the most energy from you and which ones sort of you give the most energy to as well. So I'll start with you in the center here, and we can start with the topic of your friends. So what are your friends like? I know you've said that you're supportive, but you've also mentioned how some of them are prone to these activities. So would you say that your college friends are a positive force in your life?
I personally think that they're positive.
Okay. Would you say you have a strong, is this a strong relationship for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that you give more to them, or do you think they give more to you, or is it sort of an equal 50-50?
Like 50-50.
Okay.
Definitely.
That's good. Are there any other important relationships that you have in your life?
Other than my friends, no.
Do you communicate with your professors or teachers at all?
No.
Well, we can sort of talk about your parents a little bit. I know you said that you seem to have a very rocky relationship with them. So, right here, and so would you say that your relationship is strong or sort of, or weak or rough?
Rough.
Okay. Despite it being rough, would you say that who do you believe gives more energy? Do you think you're sort of putting more effort into them than they are to you?
I would definitely say I put more effort.
Okay. What about some hobbies you have? What are some things that you enjoy to do?
Like I said before, singing,
Singing. Okay.
outdoor exploring, I guess, hiking.
Okay. Out of singing and exploring, which one would you say you have a greater passion for?
Singing.
Sing? Okay. So would you say that's strong or very strong?
I guess strong.
Strong. Okay. What is it about singing that you like so much?
It kind of like allows me to, what's it called? To be more vulnerable, I guess, because when you're singing, like you just feel like a lot of emotions, and it just makes you feel good inside.
Is singing sort of your way to express yourself? Would you say that?
Yeah, I can say that.
Okay. So then on the topic of outdoor exploring, I think you mentioned. What about outdoor exploring makes it a hobby for you?
Just to like go to places that look nice and find a place where I can just be and have alone time to refresh my mind.
Okay. What about school? Do you have any? What about your school in general? Yeah. I think you mentioned you go to Southern Adventist University.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say your relationship with your school is like?
My school, I think it's pretty good. I mean, they haven't done anything bad to me.
Is your school aware of sort of the issues that you're facing at home?
No.
Okay. Well, do you believe that the school is sort of providing you with resources to sort of assist you in schooling? Would you say that the school is putting effort towards you at all?
In a way, they're giving me money, I guess, in order to attend.
Okay. They're giving you money. Would you say that this is like a stronger or sort of a weaker relationship?
It's more of a stronger relationship because they're like kind of helping me out in a way.
Okay. What about your family? I know that you say that you have a rough relationship with your parents, but what about any close relatives? How's your relationship with sort of the rest of your family?
I have an aunt and an uncle. They're basically the ones that are like keeping me under their wing to allow me to go to school again and I guess be there for me since they know like what I'm going through.
Okay. So when you're not at school, where do you stay with your aunt and uncle?
If I don't feel like I can be at home, yeah, I would go to their house.
Okay. So for breaks during school, where would you say you're more likely to go to? You're more likely to go home or to your aunt and uncle's house?
My aunt's and uncle's house, yeah. But sometimes my parents would get mad, so I'd have to be at home.
Okay. What would you say the relationship between your aunt and uncle and your parents are like?
Well, I guess it's okay. I mean, they don't get along. Like they're not super super close, but they don't have bad blood, so to say.
Okay. Um, are there any other activities at school that you're a part of? I think you mentioned you enjoy volleyball. Are you on a team?
Um, yeah.
Do you have a there you have teammates on a team? What's your relationship like with them? You close with any of them at all?
Yeah, it's kind of like my friends that I mentioned earlier.
Mm.
We're in the same team, so it's pretty strong.
Okay. When you're playing games, is this like an encouraging moment for you where you feel like you can just be yourself and enjoy?
Yeah.
Okay. What about are you? You mentioned that this is Southern Baptist University, so are you religious at all?
Mm, I would want to say so, but in reality, I'm not really that religious at all.
Okay. So what would you say your relationship with the church would be?
I guess pretty distant. I mean, I go to church, but I don't really catch the message, or like I don't really feel anything when I go there.
Okay. Is the church or maybe a head pastor in the church aware of your situation at all?
No.
Okay. I know that most schools provide students with counselors at the beginning. Somebody to help them sort of get the hang of the college experience. So, do you have one of those that you sort of keep in contact with?
Yeah. She's my nursing mentor, I guess. But that's mostly just for like getting a hang of like how to apply for the nursing program and stuff. Other than that, I don't really have
Okay.
like a personal counselor.
How is your relationship with your nursing mentor?
We don't really talk that much. I think like the only time I've ever talked to her was like before I was applying and setting up all these dates to like get my interview test, and that's it.
Okay. So would you say that's sort of like on a relationship on the stronger side, or maybe on the weaker side?
Probably weaker.
Okay. Percent. Well, sort of to go, looking at this eco map that we've just made together, you seem to have a lot of connections with a large group of people that I feel like you may not completely realize you have connections with. You have strong connections with your friends. You say that they're very supportive of you, and those connections extend to your volleyball team, which is an activity you enjoy, and then they sort of support you during that. And other activities that you feel strongly about would be sort of singing and music and exploring outdoors, because they make you happy, and they're sort of like a stress reliever and a way for you to sort of escape. Your school is, despite it, you saying they don't have a very impactful relationship, it's still a strong connection you have. And your nursing mentor has always been there since the beginning to sort of assist you, but you said that it's not super strong. And your relatives, your aunt and uncle, is also another strong relationship you have. And the church is a relationship you have, but it's also sort of on the more tenuous side, because you say that you don't really feel the message. And then your sort of stressful and tenuous relationship would primarily be your parents. So sort of looking at this as a whole, and seeing all of sort of the support systems that you have in place, and like the ways you have to sort of express yourself and vent, how does that sort of frame sort of the perspective you have of school and of your parents? How does it feel to sort of view it from this framework?
I've never like really put it into like that kind of format before. But I guess seeing like how many people that I can probably like open up to or talk to, like I guess it kind of makes me feel a little better or like safer at school, I guess.
Okay. I think that's, really good progress to be made. So, what is it? What is something that you feel like you want to get out of this session?
Um, Honestly, I'm not totally sure.
Okay, because I know that it wasn't your intention to come here in the first place, but I think we've made good progress in the time that we've had together. So, would you say that sort of a goal you could have for this session is to sort of is it realistic for you to say that you would eventually like to sort of improve the relationship you have with your parents?
Yeah.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being almost impossible, how soon do you think it would? What is a time frame that you would say? How long would it take for you to sort of get from the level you are now to the level of that you want to be at with your parents?
10 being like soon, like now.
With 1 being, let me reword it. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being impossible, how soon or how easy do you think it will be to mend this relationship with your parents?
Right now, probably like 3.
A 3? Okay. But a 3 is also not a 0. So I think it shows that you are willing to sort of make this mend, but you also still see that there is a chance for you to sort of mend this relationship. How would you say on the same scale, how would you rate your confidence in right now, in your parents at least, in the ability that they have to improve?
Zero or 1.
0. Okay. What is the confidence that you believe? What is the on the same scale? How would you rate your own motivation in seeing sort of a change made in your life and also in the relationship with your parents?
Well, I guess one thing that I can take out from here is that it kind of made me realize that I should definitely try harder in college so that I don't end up like my parents. And then probably when I get a good job, I can maybe help them out somehow financially or something.
Okay.
And then that can be my motivation.
Okay. So I think that's a very good goal for you to set. And I think that we're sort of coming to the end of our session, and I think we've made really good progress. So sort of to summarize what we've gone throughout the entire session so far, is that you enjoy the school you're at, and you also sort of are interested in a certain profession, but your parents are also sort of hesitant of you in that profession because they would like you in another one. But at the same time, you're also struggling with, listening and communicating with your parents because they're sort of involved in things that has affected the relationship you have with them, and that's sort of has caused a strain on it. And because of this strain, it's sort of affected, I guess, the way you can spend your time in terms of finding enough time to relax, and it causes you anxiety and stress. But after going over this miracle situation, it's clear that despite you having a low expectation right now, you still see a future where there can be a change. So it's still open for you to make the possibility of there perhaps being a situation where the two of you will be able to mend this relationship that you have, and for things to sort of go back to the way that you envisioned it back in elementary school. So would you say it's a realistic goal for you for the next time that we meet to sort of, whenever I ask you a question on a scale of 1 to 10, once again, do you think you could work on sort of your confidence level in terms of improving your relationship with your parents?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay, that's good. Well, I think that we have made good progress today, and I'll be looking forward to sort of speaking to you whenever is comfortable with you once again. Would you be okay to meet with me, say the same time next week again? Okay. Well, I think it's been a pleasure meeting you, and it was good